You're watching Drake Wing Gaming. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys and gals, Never here from Drake Wing Gaming. It's W Mounts with the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you with a Let's Play episode of Devil's Gambit. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right back in, shall we? Alarm chain, you were up, and let's go. Alrighty. I don't understand. I don't want to lie to you, make you believe I can make this work. It hurt you all the more, and I couldn't bear to put you through that. I'm sorry, Hector, but I'm not the person you love anymore. It's better this way, isn't it, Hector? Think about it. Isn't this how most childhood crushes end? How many couples do you know that met when they were children and stuck around each other until adulthood? This isn't anything extraordinary. You aren't living in a fairy tale. The good news is that almost everyone has gone through this, and if they got over it, then so will you. For now, I apologize to Cadgan. Let him know you'll be returning to the tavern. Need some time alone. And then cry, Hector. Get in bed and hug your pillow to your heart's content. Imagine a life you can't have until your heart is exhausted. Starting tomorrow, we'll work on getting over this. For now, rest. New journal entry has been unlocked. Act 1, Chapter 12. The Devil of Renai. Let's see, what was that? Places, magic. Oh. Celebrated in Renai at the end of spring, the townspeople collect haze leaf from the town and forest, and then make its show of offering to the demons who burn it. Make a show of offering it to the demons who burn it. Renai has a few other seasonal festivals, if memory doesn't fail me. Okay. How weird it was seeing him like this. Cadgan, Star Drinker, Duke Diffier, Window Slayer. What the fuck? He walked toward the river with his shoulders slumped, looking at his feet. It wasn't that he had woken up from his lethargy, nor had he choked again. He was just sad. It was such a nice day that I wanted to take a dip in the river. Cadgan had half-heartedly accepted, following me half a dozen steps behind. But when we arrived, he kept quiet, sitting under a tree on the riverbank and hugging his own legs as he stared at the water. His gaze was so firm. I looked into the river to check if something interesting had caught his attention, but to no avail. I put down our towels before kneeling next to him. What's the matter? Not feeling like it? What's the matter? Not feeling like it after all? Don't me. What's wrong? Sometimes the Duke says something about everything having a place in nature. Do you know about that? A lot of the herbalism books I've read talk about that. I mentioned it to you once, remember? About how for every illness there is a cure, that everything has a purpose. But if those words came out of the Duke's mouth, then surely they carried a much darker meaning. I wonder what my purpose is. Such a question was very typical for boys of our age. Me and a bunch of the boys in Oblin couldn't relate to it, as it was decided early we'd retrace our parents' steps. But whenever we went to the house of a wealthy client in the city, if they had a son of my age... Oh, God. Oh, goodness. If they had a son of my age, chances were he'd be wrestling with the same question. It was the privilege of those with opportunities, which is why it was peculiar hearing it from Cadgan. It made sense, though. He wasn't wondering this out of an abundance of futures, but a complete lack of. He'd been denied his freedom for so long, and there still wasn't an end in sight for his confinement. What would he even do once the Duke let him go? Is there a place for me somewhere? Of course, Hector. Of course, Cadgan. Where? I give him a small shrug. Renai, no one can take away your hometown. It'll welcome you back with open arms whenever you get out of here. No, they'll just say I'm a troublemaker. That's what everyone thinks, right? It's what the Duke tells everyone who will listen. All the servants and guards talk about it too, even the townsfolk who come over. All they talk about is my illness. Everyone is interested in me because of that stupid disease and nothing else. After that's settled, no one will want me for anything. Everything would be better if I just disappeared. The way he looked at the water sent a shiver down my spine. That's not true! How do you know? I took his hand and squeezed it tight, locking eyes with him. I looked deep into the sky with them, holding on as though not to fall into it, because I knew the words would escape me otherwise. You do have a place in the world, because you are here with me now. And I want you to be here. If the people of Renai won't welcome you back, then I will. I miss you whenever I'm away. Do you know that? Did you know that? Everything's boring without you, and days feel like they'll never end. Every night I go to bed with a book, wishing you were there with me, and I fall asleep thinking of the next time we'll come and visit you. You do? Of course you do. I should have known you would. That was his first smile that day. They took me in. As did his arms as they pulled me into a hug. His fingers dug into my clothes. His cheek found a place in the crook of my neck. And after I got my bearings, I wrapped my arms around him as well. It was summer. He smelled like fresh grass, tree bark, and pine cones. God, he was so light. And shorter than me, too. In my memories of Renai, he always felt like a larger-than-life figure. That magnetic rebel. But he was so small. We held each other for as long as we could, but nowhere near as long as I wanted to. I still feel his shirt, my fingers digging into it. I didn't want that moment to end. I remember now. This one was of my last conversations I had with Cadgan 9 years ago, before he was cured of his illness. There isn't much of a story to that. One day, Dad was performing his daily checkup. When nothing happened. We waited a few days and monitored him closely, but nothing happened. As suddenly as I imagined it manifested with no explanation, his illness disappeared. Everything has a place in this world, but there are truths that are difficult to discern, that seem to defy reason. These truths serve a higher purpose, unbound to the understanding of us mortals. I thought fate brought us together. A few days later, we returned to the town with Cadgan for the first time, and that same day, we left Renai for what would be the last time for 9 years. After that talk, I wasn't sure he'd be fine alone in town, but he reassured me he'd be alright. As we shared our last hug, long enough to portray a want deeper than friendship, I was convinced I'd see him again soon. Although I didn't know why, fate had brought us together. We'd see each other again. Our bond had meaning. And I had never been so sure about anything else in my life. How foolish I was. The illness was just some sleep disorder no one knew about. And our bond? Time has put it to the test during these 9 years. It's strong, but nothing as romantic as I hoped. Such an idiot. Ooh, pretty. What a fool that you are, Hector. Ah, Cadgan. It's been 9 years. You thought I'd still be sneaking out at night, throwing pebbles at noblemen's windows and crawling through secret passages? Please, get serious. A childish part of me hoped for that, yes, but I knew it wasn't a reasonable expectation. What did you want from me, then? I don't know. After Dad died, I changed. I had to in order to survive. But I thought that deep down we'd still be the same people, and I hoped that you'd still think of me in the same way, as often as I think of you. You thought wrong. I'm an adult now, Hector. Yes, but sometimes I still see it. That look he used to have. What look? What are you talking about now? Fiery, searing, as though you'd burn me if I got too close. Since I returned, whenever I was about to lose heart, to accept the old you was gone. I saw it. That alone kept my hope alive. I missed you so much, Cadgan. Every night I'd hug my pillow, wishing it was you. He shakes his head, my heart sinks once again. God, Hector, you're pathetic. Come on, would you climb a mountain just because you spotted a lit ember buried under the snow? His tail lashes behind him. I swear he shows a canine when he spits out lit ember. Would you dive into the ocean because you caught a glimpse of a gem on the seabed? That sharpness in his voice, that brutal honesty I could always rely on, the lack of fear that taught me to stand up to my father. In his eyes, God, for the first time in 9 years, it's like he's truly looking at me, seeing me. Foolish, ignorant man. Doesn't even cross my mind firing back. His words don't sting, don't even feel like an insult. Instead, tears cascade from my eyes, each one warmer and sadder than the last. This is the Cadgan that I love. I can't hide my sorrow. I sob and fall down like a child. He takes a step back, and I see in his tense stance, his chest locked mid-breath, the glimmering eyes from head to toe. Emotions. When he crouches to check on me, he tilts his head, trying to get a better look at my face. Did I go too far? No, it's just that's the attitude I expected of you. Every time I screwed up and all you did was let it slip or just smile, it was so disappointing. God, there's something wrong with me, isn't there? Wanting the man I love to insult me, to tear into me, His finger lands on my mouth, and from his comes a gentle hush. Silence, Badger. His voice comes out so soft, so tender. It reminds me of that night we sneaked out to the river. So loving he could have picked the stars, the moon, even our fates from the dark waters. Come here, let me hold you, like old times, but different. I lunge and envelop him with my arms, but his back is so broad I can't even wrap around him. In the blink of an eye, we are no longer standing up. We are instead laying down together as if that longing farewell embrace and all the nights reading together mixed into one moment. Like old times, but different. I lay my head on his chest and I feel a heartbeat that cannot exist. My best friend, My first love, warm and intense as if we were still innocent, but in the body of this mountain of a man. His hands, rugged and thickly knotted, sink into my fur, and in each curling finger and each claw grazing my skin there is an ember. He leans in, not to kiss, but to place his nose on my neck. He takes a sniff, and I do the same on his chest. His scent is like an entire world of its own. The damp, loamy soil after the rain, aged tree bark and root, remnants of the smoke from the festival. Alongside it is something familiar, but that I can't quite place, that awakens a nagging feeling in the back of my mind. Underneath it all, there is also the smell of that young wolf I loved without knowing, aged now into a fully grown man. I missed you so much. I was already crying, but now I'm sobbing on his chest because I know this is all. I was a fool too, Hector. You were? Mm-hmm. Unforgivably so. Aw. Again, it's that voice I know so well, with subtle inflections as if 1,000 different thoughts are running through his mind. He leans in closer to my ear. His breath makes me tingle. I should have known that a wimp like you'd turn out like this, unable to get enough of my bullying. At least I'm glad I was a good influence on you. I reckon you'd have no spine if I hadn't taught you how to lie to your daddy. I wouldn't. I'd only be Egan's masterpiece and not a thing more. Not a person, just a doctor. He freezes. He looks away, ponders, and looks down at me with a grin. Yes, that's what he'd have done to you, as if he had the chance. But don't be so rough on your old man. Even if that's true, he was decent. Better than decent. Better than decent, damn it. He was twice the doctor that anyone in this town, even that inbred Manole. That noble piece of shit could go on his trips and schools and dinners with his fancy friends, while my dad had to learn it all with what little was afforded to him back then. I dig my claws into him. A yelp comes first, but it's laughter that follows. All right, you still hold him in such high esteem, eh? But sure, I'll give you that. Egan's the only doctor I regret playing my pranks on. Shouldn't have slipped that spider in his shoe. He deserved better. Believe it or not, I was looking forward to seeing him again. Even had an entire speech prepared. And what did you mean to tell him? Oh, alright, y'all. I think I'm actually gonna pause it right there. I need to get ready and head out. At least my parents are gonna be here soon, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut it right there. Alrighty, thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I love you all, and I shall see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye!